Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I feel like it has been quite a while since we've done a Land Cruiser video. It's about time that we hop back into it. So today we have a whole bunch of lighting upgrades that we're doing. We have some front off-road lights for the ARB bumper. We have some new tail lights. We have some new interior lights. It's just gonna be lights, lights, lights. So take a shot every time I say lights. You might not make it to the end of the video. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So let's go ahead and go over what we're gonna install in this video. We have the Max Speeding Rods off-road lights. These are really cool. These are a 5-inch light. They're gonna fit perfectly in the front bumper of the Land Cruiser on the ARB. We have a mount here and a mount here. I think they're gonna look really good and hopefully help complete the front end of the Land Cruiser. They come with their own harness. We're gonna have to modify that a little bit to fix the aux beam, or to fit the aux beam panel on the Land Cruiser. And then we have these taillights. I saw this on Black Hills Build's Land Cruiser. Thought they'd look really good on mine, so I picked them up. I have a bunch of other lights in these bags over here to take care of a busted corner light and the interior lights in the Land Cruiser. As you can see, it's very, very dim. The only reason there's light in here at all is because of the shop light itself. The tail lights, I have a broken tail light here, so it's gonna look nice to get that replaced. The one thing that I fear is that installing the nice tail lights is gonna make me wanna paint and finish the Land Cruiser because they're gonna look so nice and new. So let's start off with the Max Speeding Rods pod lights, and then we will move forward and do the tail lights and then the interior lights. Let's talk about these Max Speeding Rod lights. Now these were sent out by Max Speeding Rods for me to review and try, so of course we're going to do that. These are the LED wide driving light. They are 200 watt, IP68 waterproof rated, and 6000 K color temperature. Admittedly, I'm not a huge light guy, so I don't really know how much all that rating and stuff really matters. But if it's important to you, there you go. There are the specs. So these are the 5-inch light. As you can see, pretty nice piece. We have a mounting spot on the bottom right here that's going to go right onto the ARB bumper. We have adjustment on the side of the brackets too, so we can move these lights up and down. And it looks like it's actually a nice swivel right there on the bottom. We have that elongated hole. And there's also some mounting here on the bottom, although I'm not sure what that's for yet. The harness looks like a pretty good quality. We've got a nice connector on there. And it comes with a whole wiring harness for the actual truck as well. Now, since we are using an aux beam panel, we're not gonna use the relay and a bunch of stuff in this harness, I'm pretty sure. So we're gonna probably have to dissect this thing just a little bit. Looks like these might be little plastic plates to maybe block off this upper and lower part of the light. Looks like it'd fit right in there, huh? It's interesting. Some hardware and tools and little rubber mounting pads and whatnot. So yeah, the install should be relatively straightforward. You can see here we do have this. This is the RGB series, so we'll just cycle through the colors and see how everything looks. And also there's a wiring harness that we can reference if we need some help when we're wiring it in as well. So let's get to it. The actual hardware installation itself of the light onto the bumper, of course, was very, very simple. We're just going to eyeball these and get them as, straight as we can. I didn't notice before, but the actual nut or the bolt that goes through these is captured, so you don't have to have a wrench at the same time as you're doing this, which is really nice. So now that these are tight, we're just gonna wire them in straight to the battery right now to go ahead and see what they do, and then we'll work on the wiring to the aux beam itself. Here is the harness. This thing is pretty basic. As you can see, we just have our 2 waterproof connectors, one for each light. We have our switch here for the RGB and the normal light. I might not wire in the RGB. I don't really know if I want that or not. We have our ring terminals for the battery, which if you were just using your standard battery and not an aux beam panel or something like that, you would just hook those up to your negative and your positive. We have a fuse and we have a relay. So let's go ahead and plug this in and see how it does. Overall, I mean, if you were just wiring this in without an aux beam or didn't need to modify anything, this would be a really, really fast installation. You'd hook up your lights You'd plug them in, you'd tie up your wires. Essentially at that point you'd be done. So once we get these plugged in, we'll just run the positive and the negative. I'm going to need something to hold these down because I don't really want to bolt them. Maybe I can just hook them off, just hang them off the terminals right now, just for testing. Interesting. I was just taking a look at how they kind of turn themselves on when you first hook it up to the terminals. Okay, let me grab something to hold that down and then we will really test this out. We have the positive and negative hooked up and now we can just operate this switch to turn the lights on. So we have our normal light button here and then we have the RGB light button here. So let's go ahead and click on the normal lights. And as you can see, hopefully on camera, these things are really, really bright, absolutely blinding if you were to stare directly at them, which why would you be doing that? And then we have the RGB setting too. So the RGB setting can either give us what looks like, you know, it's cycling through RGB. We can do certain colors. We have orange here, and as you run the RGB, you can turn the normal light on too, and it's still, if you can see that, it's still running the RGB color in there. It's just the light is so bright, it's hard to tell. And then if we want to turn the RGB off, we can just hold down this button, I found out, and it's off. So let's tear this harness apart and get it wired into the aux beam, and this install will, you know, be done. Well, I know when to admit defeat, and these lights have currently defeated me when it comes to wiring them into the aux beam. Let me show you what's going on. I am 99% sure that these lights are not just a dumb light, meaning I think they expect a specific signal to turn them on. The reason I think that is because if you were to take the light and you took the positive and negative from this plug, hooked it up to the battery, the lights do not turn on. They only turn on when they are connected to the harness they came with and you use this switch. Now you might notice my mess of harness on the floor because I've been cutting this thing apart and figuring out how it works. So this switch I also think is not just a dumb toggle switch. I think this sends specific signals that these lights expect either via some internal control module or something, and just giving it 12 volt does nothing. So even if you were to do this the normal way you'd handle something that goes into a switch panel, you would just take your, you know, positive and negative, and if you had anything to switch modes, and you would just hook that directly up to a spot on your switch panel, bypassing the relay and everything that your lights come with. It does not work with these lights. I have even tried to leave their relay in place and everything in place, and then the switch connects here. And then I've tried taking the switch wires and installing the switch wires into the aux beam, just the same way that like the ARB compressor works for the lockers and the solenoids. Still nothing, which proves to me at least that the switch and the lights are both smart. So if you have installed something like these dual mode lights that have a specific switch and got it working into an aux beam or Switch Pros or something, let me know. But as far as I can tell, these need to run the original harness. So I'm going to do that for now until someone in the comments can save me and help me figure out how to wire this into the aux beam. I got the harness temporarily mounted to the front bar with zip ties. We'll fix that in the future with some like magnetic clamps for a zip tie. I have the cable running behind the battery box here in the same spot that a factory ground goes. I have all of my leads here cut and ready to be crimped because we got to trim them all. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll be ready to just hook up the switch and we'll be good to go. Now, one thing I am doing here is I am going to run the power into the aux beam because I really don't want to have another thing running off my battery. And again, if someone in the comments knows why I can't just run the switches to the aux beam, that would be great, because I don't want to have to do this, because this means that I'm going to have to both turn on the lights from the aux beam and then hit the switch button to turn on the actual flood or the RGB, which is kind of annoying, but it's not the end of the world. Just wish it could all integrate seamlessly. Give that a quick tug test. Nice. All right, white wire's done. Now we'll just do the black and the red. Okay, now we just have to heat shrink these, hook up the positive and negative to the aux beam, and we'll be done for the lights. All right, the wiring is done. It's the moment of truth. Let's see if this works. So again, the way that I have this is the aux beam actually controls the 12-volt source to the lights, and then we're gonna use their switch to choose between the flood and the RGB. So let's test out the flood first. And it works, awesome. So, I mean, I think I have to use this, I think I have to use their switch, and I think this proves it, because it's not working otherwise. And then let's go ahead and try the RGB. And I can't tell because I'm not over there, but it looks like it's working to me from the reflection on the wall. Yeah, it's working. And then we'll go ahead and turn the floods back on. Yep, everything works. So I'm gonna reach out to Max Speeding Rods and see if there's a way to do this without running their OEM switch, but I'm really not sure if there is. Again, if you guys know, if you've worked with some switch that has some sort of, I don't even know what to call it. It seems to me like it would be some sort of module that expects a certain signal or something. Go ahead and let me know in the comments below. And just for reference, here's how I have them wired. I have both the lights plugged into the harness they supplied, routes behind the front bar here. Again, we are going to replace these zip ties with some sort of magnetic clip or something where that'll be hidden. Routes through the grill, comes up. I used a little rubber grommet here to hold it away from the transmission cooler. It routes under the front core support, goes on the side of the battery, goes through a factory hole right there in order to feed it alongside the inner fender, and it then plugs into the aux beam right there for the power. I have the relay mounted right here on the back side of it, and then the switch goes into the cab. And then the way it's actually operated is the aux beam over there turns the power on, and then the switch, which is on the ground right now, actually operates the lighting functions. So not super ideal, but it's gonna work. Now we're moving on to the tail lights, and I'm very excited about these because the tail lights in this Land Cruiser are junk. You see this one's cracked here. We got really dim lights. Pretty sure one of the corner lights or the reverse light is out. Let's go ahead and turn on the hazard so we can watch what the flasher would look like. So as you can tell, just kind of a worn out factory tail light. Now I'm not one for aftermarket tail lights, but as I was saying, Black Hills Builds on Instagram had these tail lights, and I thought they looked really good and really spruced up the look of the Land Cruiser. We have an LED brake light now, as well as an LED turn signal and LED reverse light. So these are gonna look really good. Kind of scared they're gonna make me wanna paint the Land Cruiser because they, let's be honest, they kind of make the rest of the rig look kind of bad. So let's go ahead and get this driver's side installed. The old taillight is out. We got everything cleaned up with this taillight bucket or whatever you want to call it, and we did have to remove this in the past to fix some dents on the quarter panel right here. When we did that, we had to kind of pry off this, I'm just going to call it a taillight bucket, to get into that panel, and we ended up breaking some of that butyl right there that's going to provide like the weather stripping for this tail light. So I am going to just gently pry that back and add some new tape behind that. A lot of the rest of it already kind of resealed itself just with the heat, as you can see here. I can't pull it off as I can the top right there. So I did pick up some butyl tape just in case. We have that right here. We'll put a little bit on the inside of the new tail light too, just on the top to shed the water off. Now the lights in here, we're going to be replacing them with LEDs as well. The turn signal and the reverse light are 1156 or 1156. The brake light's in 1157. I didn't realize that the new light comes with a brake light LED panel built into it. So I don't actually have to swap out those brake lights. You can see the panel, maybe you can see that. There's a panel in there. So we're only going to be replacing the turn signal and the reverse light, and we will have the new taillights installed. We don't have to get all of this off. I'm just trying to get off any large chunks so when I add the new butyl on here, it doesn't clump up and make like the taillight stick off or something like that. And this tape on this scraper is my attempt at not scratching the paint underneath. So I think this is probably pretty good at this point. I could get more of it off if I wanted to with WD-40, but we don't have to strive for perfection with this, and this stuff is just so sticky and gross. I want to be done with it. So we're going to put some butyl on the back of the taillight bucket, put it back in, and we'll be good. Then we can get that taillight in here. Got the bucket reinstalled with the new butyl tapes. Everything's nice and sealed now, and now we got to replace all these lights. So as mentioned before, this taillight does have an LED panel in it for the brake light. So for the 1157 bulb, I believe, which is this guy right here, we're just going to take it out and completely remove it and hook it up to that panel on the brake light. For the 1156s, we have some LED lights to replace those as well for the turn signal and the reverse. And by the way, all the bulbs I use, the butyl tape, everything, the tail lights are going to be in the description of the video. These are the replacement 1156 LED bulbs. We're just going to put them right back in where we took them out from. Just twist them into place right there. And then as for the actual brake light itself, as I said, we have the panel inside of the tail light housing, and it has the male end that's just going to go right into where the brake light was. Go ahead and get that installed. Then all we have to do is just install these sockets and twist them into place and then mount up this brake light and we will be done. Pretty quick install. The long screw that comes out of the taillight normally has like a nylon washer right here. So I'm just using these nylon washers from Hillman, from Home Depot. I've had these since like 2010. I used to use them to repair the 3 red lights of death on Xbox 360s. We're gonna go ahead and put that right over this screw like this. And then the actual taillight comes with a little rubber grommet as well. So this will push up against the rubber grommet and it'll seal just like it did from the factory. Taillights are installed. Let's go ahead and test these things out. You guys let me know if those brake lights work or not. So we'll do the brake lights first. They should be working. And then let's go ahead and turn on the running lights, and we'll turn on the hazards to simulate the blinkers. Let's go ahead and take a look. Oh yeah, way brighter than the old bulbs that were in there. And in my opinion, looks way better than this old yellow thing. I think these taillights look really good. Let's go ahead and close the garage door and take a closer look. Yeah, those things look way better than the factory ones. Also, if you look here, I replaced this bulb on this side. Look how dim the other side is, so we'll go ahead and replace this one too. A lot dimmer than the one that I just replaced, as you can tell. So having those LED bulbs in here, they're so much brighter than just the factory 1156s that were in there. Of course, those ones that were in these old amber taillights were probably like 10 years, 20 years old, because this thing was sitting before I bought it and did all the work to it. But yeah, I think that really brings the look of the Land Cruiser together, and it really makes me want to get started on the body work on this thing. I've been wanting to do it for a while, guys. It's just, I have a lot of other stuff that's taking priority, like the Supra and you know, doing the lockers and everything that I was doing on the Land Cruiser. So I'm thinking once this thing's painted, we're just gonna go with the green that it was, and then I really wanna get gold badges on this thing. I think they'll look really good with the green paint. And another thing that I just noticed when I was talking is that the Supra has the same taillights. So if you look here, those taillights have the 3 white lines in them, and this one has the 4 white lines. So now at this point we have the Supra and the Land Cruiser. Well, I kind of went opposite there, but the Supra and the Land Cruiser have the same color and the same taillights. Thought that was kind of funny. And since we're here, let's go ahead and do a quick Supra update. You can see I have a pallet of all the engine parts. We're still waiting for the 1J head, but we do have the block and everything to finish the bottom end. And just as a recap, this is a 2JZ bottom. We're running a 1JZ head. The reason is because this is a right-hand drive imported Mark III. These came with the 1JZ. The 1JZ's over there, blown up somewhere. And what everyone does when that happens, instead of sourcing a new 1J bottom end, you just go 1.5 JZ. Now, we are using max speeding rods, connecting rods in this Supra as well. And a lot of people are very skeptical of that because they're made in China or whatnot, but let me show you what the machine shop found. In this engine, we're going to be using max speeding rods, connecting rods, and Wiseco pistons. If you've built an engine before, you'll notice these look very familiar to Eagle rods. And it's, you know, I'm convinced at this point they're all built in the same factories over in China. These rods, when they were measured by the machine shop, every single one had exactly 1.7 thousandths of oil clearance. That means that every single one was within, you know, a couple tenths of a thousandth of each other. So these are very closely, very precisely machined. Every single one weighed in at within half a gram of each other. And when I put these on the scale, every single piston and rod combo basically weighs exactly the same. Not to mention these are lighter than the factory rods. They're a lot bigger. Let me show you a VVTi rod, just as an example. This is a VVTi rod and piston. I mean, you could make your decision based off that alone, right? This is the width of my finger. It's ridiculous. And then you have this nice H-beam rod right here. They have ARP hardware. So I contacted ARP and I got verification that that's real. They're actually partnered with Max Speeding Rods. I did a bunch of research on these things on Miata forums and Reddit and everything else, and everyone is saying good things. Got a couple of guys on YouTube running 2,000-ish, not 2,000, but maybe 1,200 horsepower 2Js in drag cars that have no issues with these. And lastly, they have a TUV certification from Germany, which proves the alloy that's used in these, and they do a strength test and everything else. So I'm really confident these are going to be great in the Supra. So I am more than willing to be a guinea pig and try these rods because I'm going to be honest, I have a lot of faith in them. I think they're going to work great. We're going to be building that bottom end pretty soon for the Supra, so stay tuned. But let's go ahead and get back to the Land Cruiser. One thing you need to be aware of are what the traffic laws are in your state. So after I finished the taillights, I realized that in Idaho, we can have white turn signals up front, but they have to be red or amber out back. And those lights came with amber bulbs. So just a quick swap out. Unfortunately, it's not an LED, but I mean, I can buy them. But we just swapped out the 1156 white LED with the amber bulb that came with it. And honestly, it still looks pretty good. I actually like it more, I think. Let's start with this side marker that we know we need to replace. This is like almost like a 194 LED or 168 or whatever they are. Kind of like the ones that are in like gauges, I believe. But we have the old and the new. If that's not in focus, I'm sorry, I can't see the camera, but I'm gonna go ahead and replace it pretty quick and easy, and then twist that guy back in to its home. And we'll be done with all the lights in the rear of the Land Cruiser. Let's go ahead and turn on the running lights, make sure that it turns on. Oh yeah, way brighter than it was, looking good. All right, let's go ahead and move to the interior of the Land Cruiser. So I've been really wanting to upgrade the light in here because you can't see anything. This is the light that turns on when the door opens, and it looks a lot brighter than it actually is because we have a studio light lighting things up, plus the actual shop lights make the interior bright as well. But at nighttime, this is all but useless. And it's the exact same thing for the map light here. Does nothing. And then we have that light back there that I also want to upgrade to for the cargo area. So I have a little assortment of lights here. I have an LED panel as well as I don't know what they call this, like a festoon or something like that. I'll put links to all this stuff, but I have some different options just to test things out. I don't want the map light specifically to be some blinding white light, but I am okay with that for the cargo area. For the dome light, and if I'm like just mixing up all these names, sorry, but I'm pointing at what I'm talking about. The dome light, I think I'd be okay with one of these bright LED panels, but I have to see it to know, because I kind of don't like the blinding white light. I'd definitely prefer more of like a softer, warmer light. So let's go ahead and test some of these things out. Don't break. All right. You got to be really careful with plastics in these old Land Cruisers, basically all old cars, right? Because plastic gets really brittle. Did plastic just fall out of there? Nope, did not break anything. Thank God. All right, so we have, oh, that bulb is tiny. You have to see this. Look at that cute little guy. No wonder this is so dim. That's all we got. So I believe that one is this one. Got the new light installed. Let's go ahead and see how bright this one is. Yeah, that is way, way brighter than the one that was in there. And we're gonna have the cover on there, so it's not gonna look like this, but that is so much more light. And yes, it is a cooler white, but it's not a painful white, if that makes sense. And that's gonna really illuminate all this area if we end up needing that light at night. So let's go ahead and snap the cover back on, and then we'll move on to the dome light. So for the dome light, I actually bought the two different kinds of lights as I was showing you guys. I bought the actual LED panel, and then I also bought the festoon light, or whatever they're called, just to see if I like one more than the other. So this light specifically is just useless. It's so dim. It does nothing. Yeah, this is the same bulb that I bought. Good. Ow. That thing is hot as hell. Dude, ow, is that thing supposed to be that hot? All right, let's go ahead and turn this thing off. The switch is broken, so I'm gonna have to find a way to do that. All right, with the light off, let's go ahead and get this thing out of here. That thing is so hot. Ah, it exploded. Oh, I don't even have words. That thing, it exploded when I took it out. Both of the ends of the light popped off of it. Both of the metal ends exploded off when I took that light out of there. Crazy. All right, well, now that that debacle is over, we're gonna try the replacement bulb. It's just like that old one first, and then we'll try the panel and we'll decide which one we like more from there. All right, new bulb is in. Switch is broken up here, so I gotta move it back. Yeah, that is way, way brighter. But is it bright enough? Let's turn the lights off in the shop and see. With the lights off, it's decently dark. It's not really dark, but I think we can get it brighter than that. That's still not that much light. I'm thinking, like, if I'm out camping, if I'm out wheeling and I'm gonna want light in here, I want it to flood it. Now, I know this is just, oh, I'm zoomed in, sorry. I realize that this is just when you open the doors, this is what you're gonna see. So as an example, when you open the doors, this is what you'll see when you get into the truck. Ah, why did it not turn on? Oh, apparently it only turns on from that door. Another problem I need to fix. But you can see it turns on when you open the door, and it's just not that much light. Let's go ahead and try that panel and see how that one does. Now, if you're wondering how those panels work, this is how they install. I was curious about the same thing, so I figured I'd show you guys. They just have this spring-loaded adapter, and then just plugs in with like this little 2-pin, almost looks like a fan switch plug for a computer. Just plugs into the panel. And the panel, if you want to stick it up there with this tape, you can do that. So, yep, that's how it works. All right, same test. Lights are off again, and the new light is installed. Let's see how bright this one is. Okay, yeah, that is significantly more light. The one downside I can see, I don't know if you can see it on camera, is that you can see the LED panel in, you can't see that on camera. Maybe if I knock the exposure down, you can see the panel under the actual cover. You can see that now. So if that's a downside, then maybe not, you know, the right light for you, but I'm not going to be looking up at that light, so I don't care. So I'm going to be putting that same panel in the rear cargo area, and I think that'll give us a lot of light. Maybe you can see over here just how much more light that is. Well, not really, but if you look down in there, yeah, way more light than we had before. So we're definitely going to go with the LED panel over the regular bulb. And I think that will be it for the interior lights. Well, I got the light installed for the cargo area, but as is so typical, things don't always go as planned. And the actual switch on that guy is going out. So we're just going to replace that whole housing and it should be done. But lots of light back here, as you guys can see. So I think once that is fixed, we will absolutely have enough light in the cargo area and the back seats and everything if we're out wheeling and need to have the lights on back here. Now, I'm pretty sure that the back panels, if I had them in, one of them has a cargo light as well, but I do want to install a light up here in some way where when I open this, maybe there's like a light strip or something, just like something that will illuminate this back area. Because as you can see, the passenger compartment is now extremely well lit. It's like daylight in there, but the very, very back cargo area, not quite as good. So we'll have to think of something for this area in the future. Let me know what you guys have done in your cargo area, in your, you know, Toyota, Jeep or whatever to get some light back here. Would love to hear it. The very last two lights I want to take care of are going to be the running light here and the turn signal. This running light doesn't even work. As you can see, it's not on, and the lights are on right now. So we're going to go ahead and pop this out and get it replaced. And then just the turn signal, replacing it with an 1156 LED bulb, just so that we have nice bright LEDs all throughout the Land Cruiser. Now, I'm not doing the headlights right now because I kind of want to get those depot headlights or whatever they're called, the DEPO headlights. And I kind of want to do that at the same time as I do the turn signals and everything else just in one shot. So we'll get these swapped out in the future. Maybe I could do those cool like quad JDM ones too. That would definitely be cool. But I don't have them right now. This light's not on. There we go. All right. Yeah, that kind of scared me. I plugged the light in and it didn't work. And the lights are on. So now, all right, now we have a working running light. We haven't had that for over a year. Never once been pulled over. It's not really an issue, but it's nice to get it working again. And finally, the last piece of the puzzle, the very last light, the 1156 for the turn signal. Replacing it with this LED right here. naturally, I wanted to see what these look like at night to actually get a grasp of how much more light we have from all the upgrades we just did. So with the interior, you can see we have so much more light with the door open compared to before when I showed you guys in the shop how dim it was. So just as a reference, you can't see anything. This is with the door closed. It's dark as hell out here. Open the door, completely illuminates the interior of the Land Cruiser. Got a ton of light in there. Look at that. Also, this light decided to start working full time, so awesome. So yeah, tons of light from the dome light. Let's go ahead and check the map light now. So we'll get into the Land Cruiser. Pitch black. We got the old gauge cluster lights. I do kind of want to keep these because I like how like old they look. I just don't want to change it. So let's show the map light. Can absolutely see everything, no problem. The exposure is low on this camera, so we're not capturing how it looks in real life. Maybe in real life it looks a little bit more like that, if that even made a difference. But my exposure and my ISO are both low, so looking a little bit darker than it does in real life. And again, when that door opens, that light really illuminates the cab. Let's turn the hazards on and check the blinkers. So we got our new tail lights, new license plate lights, new running lights. Everything's looking really good. We have our front running lights and our front blinkers as well. We have the DRLs on right now, set to orange. They look really cool. And the last thing I want to do is test the floodlights on the Max Speeding Rods pods, as well as the normal headlights, and see how that compares. So let's go ahead and turn those off, and I'm going to set the camera down over here, and we're going to see how those lights do. I'm going to set you guys up right on the hood of the truck, actually. All right, hopefully the $2,000 camera doesn't fall down. So here we have headlights. Okay, so that's headlights alone. We're looking at the ditch behind my house, behind my shop, and now we will do the floodlights. That is so much more light. That's insane. And I think they're pointed down a little bit too. So let's just turn the headlights off through the floodlights alone. Dude, that is insane. That is so much light. You can't even tell when I turn the headlights on. So the headlights are off right now. Now the headlights are on. Off, on. We don't even need them. There's so much more light coming out of those floodlights. That's insane. Let me show you what it looks like when they turn on from a distance. So we have our headlights, and then we have our floodlight, or the off-road light, whatever you want to call it, you get the point. Those things are so damn bright. That is crazy. That's going to be awesome if we're ever night wheeling or doing anything where we need more light. So I would call that a success. We have very bright lights. I can't even open my eyes. Completely illuminated. It's like a police spotlight back here. We got all of the rest of the lights in the Land Cruiser replaced, except for the headlights, of course, which I said we're going to do in the future. And it's just nice to have something easy for once. All the things I've been doing to this truck have been hard. Engine rebuild, diff rebuild, locker install, transfer case gear install. Everything has just been just a slog to get it done. So it's nice to have some quality of life upgrades, make it easy for once, and have such a nice, payoff for such little effort. So if you guys enjoyed this, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.